Right. Let's talk about Andrew Tate, a man who combines the philosophical depth of a puddle with the subtle charm of a hornet trapped in your car. If you've managed to avoid him, I envy you. He's the internet's foremost authority on how to be an alpha male, a title that seems to involve owning many fast cars and having the emotional range of a particularly grumpy rock. Recently, however, Tate has pivoted from merely questionable life advice to full-blown comic book villainy. In a rant that was less a coherent thought and more a word salad of rage, he decided America should just, well, take things. Specifically, he screamed, "Fuck Venezuela, take all their shit," a truly nuanced take on foreign policy. His grand strategy, which he dubbed efficient imperialism, is breathtakingly simple. Send the Blackhawks, kidnap one guy, in and out, 45 minutes, get trillions. It's a plan that sounds like it was written by a 14-year-old who just chugged 3 energy drinks and watched a Michael Bay movie for the first time. He didn't stop there either. In his global shopping spree, he added, "Let's take Colombia. Let's take Mexico. Let's take all of Europe. Take Greenland." What the fuck are Denmark going to do? It's a vision of global relations that makes Genghis Khan look like a conflict resolution therapist. It's not just geopolitically insane, it's deeply, profoundly racist. But wait, there's more. Because of course there is. Tate also graciously shared his views on the people of the lands he wished to plunder. He dismissed all of South America as just Mexico, which is, honestly, both geographically and culturally illiterate. He then called South American women ugly, a truly bold statement from a man who looks like a thumb that's been left in the bath too long. And for his grand finale, he declared that white people are the only people with any intelligence. This is not just a dog whistle, it's a dog air horn orchestra playing Wagner at full blast. This isn't just offensive, it's a fire hose of idiotic hatred, and we need to talk about where it's coming from. The problem is, as absurd as it all sounds, people listen to this guy. Millions of them. They see his flashy lifestyle and mistake it for success. They hear his confidence and mistake it for intelligence. So, when he starts spouting ideas that are not just morally bankrupt but dangerously unhinged, we can't just dismiss it as another internet weirdo shouting into the void. This isn't just a rant, it's a symptom of a much larger sickness. It's a deep dive into a mind so riddled with contradictions that it's a miracle it doesn't collapse in on itself. And tonight, we're gonna wade through the muck. So buckle up, it's going to be a bumpy and frankly, very stupid ride. Now, for the first and possibly most spectacular contradiction in the Andrew Tate extended universe. Remember that little nugget he dropped about white people are the only people with any intelligence? Well, hold on to your hats, because this is where the story takes a turn for the truly bizarre. Andrew Tate, the new self-appointed thought leader of white supremacy, is not entirely white. That's right. His own father, Emory Tate, was a black man, an accomplished chess international master no less. A man whose intelligence and skill were celebrated in circles that require a bit more brain power than, say, yelling about Bugattis on a podcast. This isn't just a minor detail, it's a foundational crack in his entire worldview. He is literally arguing for the supremacy of a group he only partially belongs to, while simultaneously denigrating the other half of his own heritage. It's like a fish passionately advocating for the virtues of dehydration. It's a level of self-loathing so profound it's almost impressive, to stand on a platform and declare that an entire race, a race that includes your own father, is inherently less intelligent is not just racist, it's a psychological pretzel of staggering complexity. It makes you wonder what family dinners were like. Pass the salt, Dad, you genetic dead end. This isn't just hypocrisy, it's a complete disavowal of his own family, his own history, all in service of appealing to a demographic of angry, disenfranchised young men who find solace in simple, hateful ideologies. He is essentially selling a brand of racial purity that he himself does not meet the criteria for. He's the vegan who secretly runs a butcher shop. The whole enterprise is built on a lie, a deeply personal one that he seems to have either forgotten or, more likely, chosen to ignore because it's inconvenient for the brand. It's a business model based on shouting white is right while quietly cashing checks co-signed by his own black ancestry. So, when Andrew Tate champions white supremacy, he's not just being a run-of-the-mill bigot. He is performing a very specific, very strange, and very public act of self-erasure. He is a walking, talking paradox, a monument to the absurdity of racial hatred. He is the living embodiment of the fact that racism isn't just cruel and ignorant. It's fundamentally illogical. His entire argument collapses under the weight of a single family photograph. And yet, he keeps talking, and his followers keep listening, completely oblivious to the fact that their leader is the ultimate contradiction of his own message. It's a special kind of stupid, and it is absolutely fascinating. For years, the cornerstone of the Andrew Tate brand was his war against the Matrix. Yes, like the movie, but with fewer cool leather trench coats and more sermons about how tap water is making you weak. In his telling, the Matrix was a shadowy global system of control. The banks, the governments, the media, all designed to keep you a poor, compliant slave. He was the self-styled Morpheus, offering his followers the red pill of truth, which mostly seemed to involve buying his online courses. He positioned himself as a renegade, a fighter for individual freedom against an oppressive, all-powerful machine. It was his entire shtick. And then, in a plot twist that M. Night Shyamalan would reject for being too obvious, he did a complete 180. The man who supposedly despised the system is now its most enthusiastic cheerleader, as long as that system is doing things he likes. His call for America to invade and plunder sovereign nations is not a critique of the Matrix, it is a full-throated endorsement of its most violent and imperialistic functions. He's not fighting the machine anymore, he's begging to be its gear stick. He went from free your mind to let's steal their oil without so much as a moment of self-reflection. It's a pivot so drastic it would give a ballerina whiplash. This isn't a subtle shift in ideology, it's a complete and total betrayal of the very principle he claimed to stand for. The efficient imperialism he advocates for is the Matrix in its purest, most distilled form. It is the raw exercise of power by a global superpower to enforce its will and extract resources from weaker nations. This is the very definition of the oppressive global system he built a career pretending to oppose. It seems the Matrix isn't so bad after all, as long as you're in the agent's seat, wearing the earpiece and whispering, "Let's go take Greenland." The rebel has become the Empire's most embarrassing fanboy. What this reveals is that Tate's anti-Matrix stance was never a coherent political philosophy. It was a marketing gimmick. It was a convenient narrative to sell a product, himself. He tapped into a genuine feeling of powerlessness that many young men feel and offered them a simple enemy, the system. But the moment it became advantageous for him to align with the most aggressive aspects of that same system, he did so without hesitation. His principles are, it turns out, completely negotiable. The great freedom fighter was just waiting for an invitation to join the board of the prison. And that's not just hypocritical, it's a cynical con played on anyone who ever believed he stood for anything at all. Let's take a trip back in time to the not-so-distant past of 2023 and 2024. During this period, Andrew and his brother Tristan were enjoying an extended state-sponsored vacation in a Romanian jail, facing some rather serious allegations including human trafficking and rape. From their confinement, the Tate brothers became very vocal champions of a concept they had previously shown little interest in: justice. They tweeted relentlessly about due process, the presumption of innocence, and the need for a fair legal system. They painted themselves as victims of a corrupt system, crying out for the world to recognize their human rights and demand their freedom. It was a powerful, if somewhat selective, conversion to the cause of civil liberties. Fast forward to the present, and that passionate belief in justice seems to have evaporated. When it comes to the entire nation of Venezuela, or Colombia, or Mexico, Tate's concern for rights and sovereignty is conspicuously absent. His philosophy is simple: take all their shit. There is no room for due process or fairness in that worldview. He demands justice for himself when he is the one facing consequences, but advocates for lawless, violent theft when he is the one who might benefit, even hypothetically. It is a breathtaking display of self-serving hypocrisy. He wants the rule book to apply to him, but wants to use it as toilet paper when it comes to everyone else. This stark contrast exposes the core of his ideology, or lack thereof. He doesn't believe in principles, he believes in outcomes that favor him. Justice isn't a universal right, it's a tool to be used when convenient and discarded when it's not. The idea that the people of Venezuela have a right to their own land, their own resources, and their own sovereignty doesn't even enter the equation. In Tate's world, the only thing that matters is power. The strong take what they want, and the weak, whether that's a woman he is accused of exploiting or an entire country, are there to be taken from. It's the morality of a playground bully, scaled up to international relations. This isn't just a personal failing, it's the very antithesis of a just and lawful society. The entire foundation of modern law and international relations is built on the idea that the same rules should apply to everyone. Tate's worldview, where he is the sole exception to every rule, is fundamentally childish. He is the toddler who screams "mine" at every toy in the sandbox, regardless of who is playing with it. His cries for justice when he was incarcerated were not the pleas of a wrongly accused man seeking fairness. They were the angry demands of a narcissist who simply could not believe that the rules were being applied to him. Now, it would be easy to dismiss Tate's unhinged rant as just that, the meaningless babbling of an internet celebrity desperate for attention, but here's the genuinely chilling part. His fantasy of resource theft isn't just a fantasy, it's a disturbingly accurate reflection of actual, real-world U.S. foreign policy, particularly under the Trump administration. Tate's call to action isn't some brilliant new idea he cooked up. He's essentially just live tweeting a playbook that has already been put into practice. He's not a visionary, he's just a very loud person who reads the news and apparently thinks, yes, more of that, but with me yelling about it. Consider this. In July 2024, the Trump administration did something that sounds suspiciously familiar. It seized a Venezuelan oil tanker, the Suez Rajan, which was carrying Iranian oil. The Venezuelan government quite reasonably called this an act of piracy. Then, in a move that removed all pretense of subtlety, former President Trump himself later admitted to keeping the seized oil. He didn't just stop the shipment, he took the cargo. This is not a hypothetical scenario from a Tate podcast. This actually happened. The U.S. government, under the guise of enforcing sanctions, effectively stole another country's property. Tate's rant is just the quiet part said out loud, with a few more expletives. Tate's efficient imperialism is a crude, cartoonish version of a very real and ongoing strategy. His idea of sending in the Blackhawks to kidnap one guy and secure trillions is a grotesque simplification, but it captures the spirit of targeted interventions designed for economic gain. The justification is always something loftier: democracy, human rights, fighting terrorism, but the outcome, curiously, often involves securing access to oil, lithium, or other valuable resources. Tate has just stripped away the diplomatic niceties and presented the raw, ugly motive in all its greedy glory. He's not inventing a new form of imperialism, he's just giving the old one a new, deeply obnoxious spokesman. This is what makes his words so dangerous. They aren't occurring in a vacuum. They are validating and popularizing a real, aggressive, and predatory foreign policy. For his millions of followers, he is normalizing the idea that powerful nations have the right to simply take what they want from weaker ones. He is dressing up neo-colonialism as a bold, alpha strategy for national success. By echoing the actions of a government he now openly supports, he provides a cultural justification for acts of international piracy. He is turning a complex issue of international law and ethics into a simple, appealing mantra: might makes right, and we want their stuff. The alignment between Andrew Tate's rhetoric and Trump-era policy is no accident. This is not a case of two separate entities coincidentally arriving at the same terrible ideas. There has been a very deliberate cultivation of a relationship between the Tate camp and the Trump family. Since at least 2024, Tate has been fostering a connection with Donald Trump's youngest son, Barron Trump, reportedly facilitated by a mutual acquaintance. Following the assassination attempt on Donald Trump in 2024, Tate was quick to publicly state that he was very close to the Trump family, cementing his status as a loyal, if unofficial, member of the MAGA-adjacent universe. This connection goes beyond just social pleasantries and public declarations of loyalty. It appears to have had very real-world consequences, according to Paul Ingracia, a former lawyer for Tate who later served as a liaison at the Department of Homeland Security. The Trump White House actually intervened on behalf of the Tate brothers during a federal investigation. Ingracia claimed that the directive to step in came directly from the White House itself. If true, this represents a shocking use of executive power to protect a controversial internet personality from legal scrutiny. The self-proclaimed enemy of the Matrix was allegedly being shielded by the Matrix's highest office. This relationship is a classic case of mutually assured benefit. For Trump, Aligning with Tate provides a direct channel to a massive audience of young, disaffected men, a key demographic that is notoriously difficult to reach through traditional political means. Tate's endorsement acts as a powerful amplifier, translating complex political moves into simple, aggressive soundbites that resonate with his base. He makes imperialism sound cool. He makes resource theft sound like a winning business strategy. He is, in essence, a cultural translator for the MAGA movement's most extreme impulses, making them palatable to a new generation. It's a powerful political asset. And what does Tate get out of it? Proximity to power, legitimacy, and, most importantly, protection. By wrapping himself in the flag of the Trump movement, he transforms from a controversial figure with serious legal problems into a political martyr, a soldier in a culture war. Any legal action against him can be framed as a politically motivated attack by his enemies and the enemies of Trump. It's a brilliant, if utterly cynical move. He gains a powerful shield, and the Trump family gains a loyal attack dog with a massive online following. It's a symbiotic relationship built on shared grievances, a disdain for norms, and a profound love of the spotlight. Amidst all the chest-thumping racist rants and calls for imperial violence, there is another, quieter contradiction in Andrew Tate's persona, his conversion to Islam. For many converts, embracing a new faith is a profound journey of spiritual discovery, leading to a deeper sense of peace, community, and moral clarity. For Andrew Tate, however, his faith seems to function less as a moral compass and more as another accessory for his brand, like a luxury watch or a fast car. He proudly declares himself a Muslim, yet the values he promotes are in direct and spectacular opposition to the core tenets of the faith he claims to represent. Islam, like other major world religions, is built on foundational principles of justice, compassion, charity, and the inherent dignity of all human beings. The Quran repeatedly emphasizes the importance of fairness and warns against theft and aggression. The Prophet Muhammad is depicted as a figure of immense mercy and humility. Now try to square that with a man who publicly screams, "Fuck Venezuela, take all their shit," advocates for unprovoked military invasions, and espouses virulently racist ideas about the intelligence of non-white people. It simply doesn't compute. It's like claiming to be a devout pacifist while running a bayonet factory. Tate's version of Islam seems to be a custom-built faith, stripped of all the inconvenient parts like humility, compassion, and not stealing things. He appears to have cherry-picked the elements that he believes reinforce his hyper-masculine patriarchal worldview, while completely ignoring the vast body of Islamic teachings that would condemn his behavior. His advocacy for violence, theft, and racism is not just un-Islamic, it is fundamentally anti-Islamic. It suggests that his conversion was either performative, a strategic move to appeal to a new demographic, or based on a misunderstanding of the religion so profound that it borders on parody. This presents a serious problem. By loudly proclaiming his Muslim identity, while simultaneously promoting a message of hate and greed, he is creating a grotesque caricature of the faith. He is providing ammunition for bigots who wish to paint Islam as an inherently violent or intolerant religion, using his own words as proof. For his followers, he offers a twisted and toxic version of what it means to be a Muslim man, one that replaces spiritual devotion with material arrogance and brotherly love with racial supremacy. His faith is not a source of guidance, it's a shield he uses to deflect criticism and a costume he wears to enhance his alpha brand. Gap 3s. For a man who has built his entire brand on the premise of being the ultimate alpha male, nothing is more damaging than being publicly humbled in the arena he claims to dominate. And that's exactly what happened when Andrew Tate squared off against Chase D'Amour in their much-hyped boxing match. The event, billed as a clash of titans, quickly devolved into something far less flattering for Tate, an unambiguous, humiliating defeat. From the opening bell, it became clear that Tate's bravado didn't translate into skill. While he postured and preened, D'Amour remained focused, landing clean shots while Tate's defense fell apart. The supposed top G was rocked repeatedly, his footwork exposed as clumsy, his punches wild and ineffective. By the second round, the mask of invincibility had slipped. Tate's corner looked panicked, his fans stunned into silence. The knockout itself was almost merciful. D'Amour caught Tate with a crisp right hand. Textbook technique, nothing flashy. And Tate crumpled, his alpha aura evaporating in real time. The referee's count was met not with outrage from Tate's supporters, but with a collective gasp of disbelief. In the aftermath, social media erupted. Clips of Tate hitting the canvas went viral, spawning memes that mocked his unbeatable persona. Even some of his former admirers began to question whether the emperor had ever worn clothes at all. This defeat wasn't just a sporting loss, it was a public unmasking. For years, Tate has sold a narrative of invincibility, insisting that true masculinity means dominating every opponent, never backing down, never showing weakness, but the ring is the ultimate truth-teller. There, you can't hide behind bombast or manufactured controversy. You either deliver, or you don't. Tate's loss to Demore shattered the illusion he so carefully constructed. It exposed the gap between the image he projects and the reality he inhabits. If the alpha male can be knocked out on live television, what does that say about the rest of his philosophy? Is his entire persona just as fragile, just as performative? In the end, the fight forced a reckoning, not just for Tate but for anyone who bought into his myth. When the gloves came off, so did the mask. The question now is not whether Andrew Tate is an alpha, but whether he was ever anything more than a salesman selling a fantasy, hoping no one would ever demand proof. So, after wading through this swamp of contradictions, what are we left with? We have a mixed-race man preaching white supremacy, a self-proclaimed anti-matrix rebel who has become a cheerleader for the empire, a man who demands justice for himself while advocating for the plunder of entire nations, a supposed Muslim who promotes values that are fundamentally anti-Islamic, and an alpha warrior who runs from a real fight. It's a mess, a loud, confusing, and profoundly stupid mess. It's tempting to look at all this, laugh at the sheer absurdity of it, and dismiss Andrew Tate as a walking punchline, but that would be a mistake. Because as ridiculous as he is not irrelevant, he is dangerous. His rhetoric, a toxic stew of racism, misogyny, and imperialist greed, is being fed to millions of young, impressionable minds. He is taking their feelings of confusion and alienation and channeling them into a simple, hateful worldview where strength means cruelty and success means theft. He is normalizing ideas that have no place in a civilized society, dressing them up in the flashy packaging of fast cars and bravado. He provides easy answers to complex problems, and the answer is always, be angry, be greedy, and look down on everyone else. The connection to real-world politics makes this even more alarming. When his rants about stealing oil are mirrored by the actual policies of a global superpower, he ceases to be just an internet crank. He becomes a cultural validator for state-sanctioned aggression. He is helping to build a political climate where acts of international piracy are not just tolerated but celebrated as a sign of strength. He is a symptom of a deeper sickness in our culture, a turn towards authoritarianism, a rejection of empathy, and a celebration of bullying on a global scale. We cannot simply laugh him off the stage. Ultimately, Andrew Tate is a grifter, selling a broken ideology to a vulnerable audience. His entire empire is built on a foundation of lies. Lies about race, lies about strength, lies about freedom, and lies about himself. The danger is not that he is a coherent thinker with a powerful message. The danger is that, in a world that feels increasingly chaotic and unfair, his incoherent message of simplistic, brutal power is finding an audience. Exposing his endless contradictions is not just an exercise in pointing out hypocrisy, it is a necessary act of ideological sanitation. We have to see the man behind the curtain, not as a powerful alpha, but as a confused, angry, and deeply cynical salesman, peddling poison as a cure.